Srikanth, one of the concerns that we've seen with customers is that today, with so much digital transactions happening, people are working from literally anywhere across all kinds of devices. Security and access to critical data on the databases becomes a concern. Could you also add to your explanation on MySQL and tell us how MySQL addresses these security concerns that might come up?
See, one thing we have to remember, MySQL as a database has inherent security features. The way Oracle has, the way other databases have. MySQL has its own security features. When it comes to Heatwave, it is very important to set our expectations right. MySQL Heatwave is not designed to give the security features out of box. You need to use it, configure it, something of that sort. Now, MySQL Heatwave runs on cloud. So basically, when you start working on security, you start tightening the security at different level. So whether it is Oracle OCI or whether it is AWS, whether it is Microsoft Azure, each one has its own security methods, security improvement methods at the cloud level in terms of architecture and all those things. And there are plenty of documents, public documents available on that. So when MySQL runs on OCI, it takes advantage of the OCI security features, first of all. Right. Then it comes to security features of MySQL database. So because Heatwave works, it's part of MySQL, it uses the MySQL security features. And Oracle has been adding excellent or a good amount of security features within MySQL because they are making MySQL more and more enterprise ready, right? So the Heatwave MySQL combination first take advantage of the cloud security, then it takes advantage of your MySQL database security, and then Heatwave's own security methods to do this. Now, Heatwave, what it does, it has a lot of the entire internal engine runs on the AI and ML. So there's a lot of things it keeps on building on internally through machine learning, and it keeps improving the security. So I'll just give you a couple of examples which I feel which are important. For example, everybody knows in databases you have metadata, right? Which is called as a data model. The security metadata has been completely isolated within MySQL. So those are stored in different tables. Those are stored in different structures, right? You don't have access to that. So that's one way to do this. It has features. MySQL itself has features like redaction, data masking. All those features are there. So I can keep on implementing and improving on that. The most important feature I found out, which is very critical, is that when users are filing the queries, right? MySQL Heatwave keeps on storing those queries, but those query access has not been given easily to the users, right? Because then, I have a query access to the user can use that access to the database. So those queries are isolated. A lot of data has been encrypted. So the point is here is that first it takes advantage of the cloud security, whichever cloud you're running on, OCI, AWS, or Microsoft. Then it takes advantage of the MySQL's own security features, plus additional MySQL utilities or features you want to implement, like redaction or data masking. On top of it, you have a Heatwave. Heatwave does a lot of things with the AI and ML, so it keeps on continuously checking the data which is coming in and keep on improving its security posture. It does few things, as I told you. It secures the metadata. It doesn't give the query access to the user. Queries are stored separate, but there are hundreds of MySQL security features you will find. The point is that when I'm deploying anything on MySQL and Heatwave on, say, OCI, it's my responsibility as an architect that first, after deployment, before I make it live, I understand the security portion of it. Where does my MySQL Heatwave deployment stands from a security perspective? And I need to start improving that security. At cloud, most of the things are given to you by default. Okay, you may have additional firewalls, additional things, but by default, you get a lot of security. But once I start deploying it on the MySQL, I need to deploy those features.
Right.
Once you get into Heatwave, I need to deploy those features.
Right.
So it's a job of a cloud architect. It's a job of the MySQL Heatwave database administrator to ensure that to sit and to have a very fine balance, because there's a trade-off.
Right.
Sometimes too much of security, too much of implementations may get the performance down. In Heatwave, it won't work because Heatwave itself, the performance is very high.
Right.
But because it runs by default on the cloud and it is meant for the internet-based users where you don't know who is going to access from where is going to access, it's important that you define the security posture of MySQL Heatwave and keep on maintaining that.
Thank you, Shiv. That was extensively a good coverage on what we can do with technology. Excellent, Srikanth. Thank you for telling us about the security aspects of MySQL Heatwave. So you've already told about the performance of applications running on MySQL Heatwave and how it can just turbocharge the performance of these applications. You told about the security and how that can come across excellently. You told about how MySQL is agnostic across platforms and can work equally well across not just OCI but multiple platforms.